Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and the Google and Uber lawsuit. Let's discuss that a little bit because there was a major development yesterday. In San Francisco, hearings were heard on whether or not Uber would be forced to halt production of the driverless vehicles, and the judge's answer was no, they do not have to halt the production of the driverless vehicles. Now, keep in mind, this does not mean that Uber is innocent, nor does it mean that the judge is leaning towards siding with them. This is a very complicated situation after all, because basically what the judge told Google is that they didn't have a smoking gun to stop the production of the cars. And for those of you who are not unfamiliar with what a smoking gun is, that's the equivalent of going to a crime scene, finding a dead body, and finding someone who's holding a gun. Holding the gun is pretty damning evidence, but it is not in and of itself enough evidence to conclude that that person shot it. But if the gun is smoking, that suggests it was very recently fired. So that does strongly suggest that the person shot the victim. And the smoking gun is just a blanket term for when evidence is used that is so damning there's almost no dispute. Now, as for the case itself, Google still very much has most of the cards. Google has the evidence. They have found a motivation. Uber's timing of the purchase of auto is very suspicious, and for that matter, the design is eerily similar, and the way it works pretty much is there. Also, Uber may have unintentionally indicted themselves by admitting that there was a prototype that never got to the final test, which kind of supports Google's argument that they're hiding evidence. But what would have actually probably stopped Uber's cars from being manufactured and worked on is if Google had evidence, like they actually had the documents showing that Uber stole the patents. And the complication now is that while Uber has been requested to give up the patents, they have provided very, very few documents, which Google claims Uber is hiding, and the judge actually seems to agree with this assessment, but you can't prove Uber isn't hiding the documents or covering up the fact that they took stuff. The fact that they have some of the documents suggests that they probably have all of them at some point, because the documents they did provide were still very sensitive and only a few key people who worked for Google would have had them. See how it gets complicated though. But just because it didn't provide all the documents, like that doesn't mean that they're actually hiding it. They might actually have given everything that they have. I highly doubt it, and so does the judge, but that's a theory. It's not a proven fact. As far as the case in general goes, the judge has stated that he has very rarely seen the amount of evidence against a company that is so convincing, and that strongly suggests that the judge will be leaning towards ruling in Google's favor. But here's the thing. Again, it's not a proven fact. There is not enough evidence to force Uber to halt development on their vehicles, regardless how shaky their acquisition of auto actually is. So yesterday's ruling, I guess you could say, is this. Uber can breathe a sigh of relief for the time being, but they are far from out of the woods. This is more akin to they were looking in a direction that they needed to head, and they saw the tip of the mountain that they recognize, and so they know which direction to head in. So they're on their way out of the woods, but the woods are very, very deep, and there's so many other pitfalls and dangers that it's unlikely they're going to get out of the woods. If they do get out, they're not going to get out unscathed. So, my personal opinion is I think the judge's ruling was fair. It was fair. I mean, this is what judges are technically supposed to do. The judge has actually made it very clear that he actually doesn't really like Uber that much. He doesn't like what they do. He doesn't like what they stand for. I mean, any judge would love to have Uber in their courtroom because Uber is known for breaking the rules. And it's pretty clear that Uber are breaking some rules in this case. But as a fair judge, he can't actually make a judgment on something without all the facts. And the facts that he does have, while shaky, do not actually prove anything. So, for the time being, he said Uber can continue working on the cars. I mean, the fact that Uber has taken Andrew Lewandowski, I think that's his name, I could be getting it wrong, off the cars project. That is yet more suggestive evidence that Uber might have some blueprints available and they don't need their lead engineer or whatever the heck he is. So this is going to be a very interesting case. I personally wanted, I would have been very, very happy had the judge ruled against Uber, if only because I think Uber needs to be hurt a little bit sooner for them to start changing. And this kind of gives them a pass to keep doing what they're doing a little longer. But make no mistake, their judgment is coming. And here's the thing. Since these court cases can drag out for a long time, if Uber keeps hemorrhaging money, by the time the thing goes to court, and if they actually lose, guess what? They might have to go out of business because of the settlement or the ruling, because Google will not settle. And it's I still think this case is going to destroy Uber. I really do. And that doesn't even count like the new class action lawsuit that has come up, which I will talk to not today, but tomorrow. I'm kind of busy today, but I really want to talk about this one real quick. So that's why that little edit of me scratching my nose has been left in, because I just don't have time to edit today. But yeah, so I guess congratulations, Uber. You avoided the courts for another day. How much longer can you do this? Who knows? But we will see. So anyway, what do you folks think? Do you think this was a fair ruling on the judge's part? Do you disagree with it? Do you think Uber should have been slapped and slapped hard? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. Flame responsibly. I can't believe I messed that up. And may the 4th be with you. Always.